Joining me now is California Congressman Ted Lieu, a Democratic member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, welcome to you. As always, it's good to see you. You heard those two interviews from those two voters. I mean, really, that articulated exactly the approach, the differing approaches of this country. I mean, speak to the divide in this country right now and why you think it exists.
Thank you, Alex, for that question. Donald Trump is a sitting president of the United States. The violence and chaos we're seeing in Portland and Kenosha, Wisconsin, is happening under his watch. And you can draw a straight line between some of his actions and words and this violence. At the Republican National Convention, they featured a couple who illegally waved their guns at protesters. It's no wonder, then, that a Trump super supporter would cross state lines, enter Kenosha, Wisconsin, and kill two protesters. And then today we see Donald Trump liking a tweet that praised Kyle Rittenhouse, the person who did that. What we need is Donald Trump to de-escalate tensions, condemn all violence, including those caused by his own protesters, and then we can start to heal as a nation.
How much you bet that's going to happen?
Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen because Kellyanne Conway last week on the Trump administration said that she believes violence and anarchy helps Donald Trump get reelected. First of all, that is nauseating to hear anyone say that kind of sentiment. Second, it's just not true. The American public actually understand that this Trump chaos is happening under Donald Trump's watch. A new ABC poll came out today showing Donald Trump's approval ratings has dropped to 31%. And so American people understand that Donald Trump is the sitting president, and he is the one that has to heal our nation right now.
What about the Trump administration's responses to the clashes in Portland? The federal officials certainly have been in Portland before. Should they wrest control of that city again, Congressman?
So one thing that we've learned is that the Trump administration often makes things worse. So when the Department of Homeland Security was in Portland earlier, they inflamed tensions instead of reducing tensions. And then what happened in Portland is you had all these Trump supporters with this massive caravan enter Portland, itching for a fight. And so what we need, again, is to calm down the violence, calm down tensions, and we need Donald Trump to start doing that. He is the only one right now that can calm down his supporters and keep them from engaging in violence.
But do you think that unrest and violence across this nation plays right into the president's hands as he portrays himself as the law and order candidate?
Well, the polling actually doesn't show that because the American people understand that Donald Trump is the president. And if he is reelected, we're just going to see things get even worse. And the American people understand that very crucial fact. And so what we need Donald Trump to do is to calm down tensions. That's actually what's going to help him politically. And the violence we're seeing in these places actually, I think, does not benefit him politically.
You know, as the president keeps on threatening to send in the National Guard to handle the unrest, I want you to take a listen to what Joe Biden said yesterday about how he would handle these situations if he becomes president.
I'll be a commander-in-chief who makes sure that our National Guard and their families have the support and the resources they need. Not one who diverts more than $1 billion in National Guard funding to pay for a border wall. But I promise you as president, I'll never put you in the middle of politics or personal vendettas. I'll never use the military as a prop or as a private militia to violate rights of fellow citizens.
So is that the tone? Are those the words that Americans want to see and hear?
So there are two things going on. One, there are peaceful protests. Then there are people who are engaging in looting and other violence. That needs to be condemned. Joe Biden has condemned it. And then at the same time, if local officials believe they need to call in the National Guard, they certainly have the authority to do that. Right now, the local officials are not doing it because they've seen it often makes the situation worse. And what we need to do is, instead of politicizing this violence, we need the president to calm things down, calm down his supporters. And that is not only good for him, it's good for America.
Let me ask about the big news from this weekend, being the Office of the Director of National Intelligence announcing that it is stopping the in-person congressional briefings about election security and foreign election interference. And this is what, just 2 months or so now before the election. But the committees, they will still have access to classified written intelligence reports. Let's take a listen to what DNI's John Ratcliffe said this morning.
I reiterated to Congress, look, I'm going to keep you fully and currently informed as required by the law. But I also said we're not going to do a repeat of what happened a month ago, when I did more than what was required at the request of Congress to brief not just the oversight committees, but every member of Congress. Within minutes of that, one of those briefings ending, a number of members of Congress went to a number of different publications and leaked classified information, again, for political purposes, to create a narrative that simply isn't true, that somehow Russia is a greater national security threat than China. We've had a pandemic of information being leaked out of the intelligence community, and I'm going to take the measures to make sure that that stops.
So what do you say to that? And do you believe this is really all tied to leaks? And isn't it just as easy for a written document to be leaked? And then again, by Ratcliffe's statement right there, it would seem that Russia and China are threatening our election security. So doesn't all of that warrant critical discussion and questioning from officials?
Absolutely. ODNI Director Ratcliffe is simply lying when he puts China and Russia at the same level in terms of election interference. The public reporting is that Russia is interfering in our elections, and they're going to do so again. The public reporting in China is not the same, and so he needs to stop making that false equivalence. Second, we need to ask, what is the Trump administration hiding from Congress and the American people? Basically, he just doesn't want to be asked questions. And that is the whole point of oversight, is to ask questions of the ODNI director. And third, when he does these written finished products, oftentimes that takes time. We're not going to get real-time information with the election 60-some days away. It's critical that he does these briefings, or his subordinates do these briefings in person to Congress. And if he doesn't, I believe we should consider subpoenaing some of those officials. And then we need to put in the inherent contempt legislation that I introduced with other members that gives teeth behind congressional subpoenas.
California Congressman Ted Lieu, always good to see you. Thank you so much for weighing in.